India's month-long elections are coming to a close, but who's the winner? And what are the challenges that lie ahead for the world's largest democracy? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Lauren Taylor. After a month of voting, it looks like there's no clear outcome in the Indian elections. Early exit polls suggest the next government will be made up of a coalition. Polls indicate that the current ruling alliance, led by the Congress party, is likely to win, but by a small margin. And obtaining this slight majority could be complicated further. It looks like neither of the two main alliances will win the 272 seats they need for an outright majority. They'll have to look for support from other parties. And this is because even though Indians cast an individual ballot for an individual party, it is almost a vote for coalitions. Various parties are constantly negotiating and making deals to ensure that they can pull together a majority in Parliament. Battling it out this time are three main alliances. The United Progressive Alliance, or UPA, brings together supporters of the Congress party. It is the current government, with the incumbent Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh as the chosen candidate. Then the NDA, that's the National Democratic Alliance, made of Hindu nationalist parties, led by Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP. It's currently in opposition. LK Advani leads that alliance. And there's the Third Front. This is a newly formed group, branded as an alternative to the two major blocs. They were supporters of the Congress-led alliance, but unhappy with the nuclear deal made with the US last year, they parted ways, and they have yet to announce their leader officially. Well, it's this Third Front that has the ability to help the UPA get the majority number of seats they need. The problem the UPA could face is that some Third Front members say they'll only support the ruling alliance if Prime Minister Manmohan Singh doesn't lead the UPA. But his supporters claim that this is not a problem.
Congress will form the government, Congress will lead the coalition, and it is but obvious that the largest party and the leader of the coalition, its nominee will be the Prime Minister. Prime Minister will be Dr. Manmohan Singh. We don't accept any conditions. This is non-negotiable for the Indian National Congress.
And although the latest exit polls show that neither the Congress nor the BJP will secure a majority, its president says otherwise. He said the BJP will emerge as the single largest party. The BJP-led NDA will get a majority or will fall short by a small margin, in which case I'm confident that other political parties will support us. Well, joining us for discussion now are our guests. In New Delhi, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, Deputy Editor of Frontline Hindu magazine. Also in New Delhi, Siddhartha Singh, who's a spokesman for the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP. And in London, Vijay Dutt, London Bureau Chief of the Hindustan Times, one of India's most widely read newspapers. If I could start with you, Mr. Dutt. The polls have been badly wrong in the past in India. Do you think they'll be right this time?
Well, it's very difficult to say because about 420 million or 23 million people have voted. It's very difficult for any survey, and the differences between NDA and UPA is just say varying from 3 to 12, and in any statistical survey you give a margin of 5 to 7% for error. So I don't think this is a final tally of what is likely to emerge on the 16th.
Okay.
It is impossible to...
Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, are you expecting a coalition government? And if so, what kind of shape do you expect it to take?
Well, certainly it's going to be a coalition government. And if you look at the history of exit polls in India over the last few years, one could say that they have consistently failed to present the final outcome. Even so, as a practicing journalist, as a political journalist who has travelled in various parts of India during the election campaign, I feel that the exit polls this time are more or less accurate, which means, broadly saying, the Congress and the UPA are slightly ahead than the Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party and its alliance, National Democratic Alliance.
Okay,
Having said this...
Okay, let me bring just Siddhartha Singh in briefly on that. Do you think that's the case?
Well, we have fought well, there are reasons for us to be very comfortable, and the reasons goes because the UPA, which you have just spoken about, has they disintegrated during the entire process of the elections. They could not be a one front, and they fought the election. The issues which have been raised during the campaign by BJP and NDA have been so strong. For example, we raised the issue of black money stashed abroad. The Prime Minister was continuously, they were in the denial mode, including the Congress. Then to an extent, he backed from his position, and then he has accepted that within 100 days he will get the black money stash.
Okay,
Then
just to
secondly,
bring
we
us back,
raised uncertainty.
just to bring it back to the point,
what I'm trying to say is these are the
coalition.
issues which we had raised.
Okay, just on the point of if it is a coalition, though, who would your partners be?
Well, it's something which will not be, well, we have already an NDA which is there. We do feel that under the coalition we will be looking at maybe another 2 or 3 alliances. They have been part of the NDA in earlier when Mr. Vajpayee was in the government. So one can really say that there will be another minimum 2 will be added to the kitty to make it into a greater NDA.
Okay, Vijay Dutt, on the issue of coalition, the Communist Party had said that it wouldn't join Congress again in an alliance. This was before the election. Do you think they'll stick by that, or could they change their minds?
Well, I suppose this would be a very difficult point for the Congress, because the left are certainly going to insist on that, because you see earlier they had helped the UPA government, and from 65 or 62 they are shrinking to about 35 or 38. I don't think they are going to risk it further by again supporting the Congress without getting something out of the Congress on this issue of US nuclear deal, or they might demand a Prime Minister of their own choice, which the Congress is not ready to accept. So it's not going to be that easy. And then I think we are forgetting between NDA and UPA the Sharad Pawar factor. Sharad Pawar, who is the leader of NCP, which has been part of the UPA coalition, the present government, he has the ambition to become Prime Minister, and I'm sure he is trying to get support from the third front, which of course includes the left.
Okay.
And there are other parties.
Okay, I'll stop you there for a moment. We'll move on now to the raft of contentious issues that the winner will have to deal with when they take office. Despite the global financial crisis, the Indian economy is one of the strongest in Asia, but they are fighting increasing inflation and a growing gap between rich and poor, which is in turn forcing millions of people to live below the poverty line. Another problem is the Indo-US nuclear deal, which was just mentioned. It supposedly guarantees cooperation between India and the United States on civil nuclear development. But last year it almost toppled Singh's government when he was accused of not making its details clear to the rest of Parliament. Ongoing difficulties between India and its neighbour Pakistan will be high on any new government's agenda. Last year's attacks in Mumbai were blamed on Pakistani militants. Well, with our guests again, just a reminder, in Delhi, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, also in Delhi, Siddhartha Singh, and in London, Vijay Dutt. If I could come to you, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, the polls specifically on the economy, there's one poll in the Economic Times of India which suggests that most CEOs in India believe that the economy has turned the corner and that things are actually getting better. Is that how you perceive the situation at the moment on the economy?
Well, not really. At least that's not the perception that is, that's prevalent on the ground among the what is called the common persons, the common people. They think that the bad times are going to continue, and no government, whether it is the Congress-led government or the BJP-led government, no government is going to come up with real solutions to this problem. So this is a kind of catch-22 situation in which the people perceive the politicians to be in. Having said this, if the coalition is to come about with the Congress and the left parties, if they are to rework the coalition that they had earlier, I'm sure that the left would strike a few hard bargains in terms of lessening the impact of globalization and liberalization, lessening the policies, reducing the impact of the policies of globalization and liberalization.
Siddhartha Singh, if I could bring you in, I mean, there was clearly there's a very big divide between the rich and the poor in India, and some people during the election, ordinary people that were just mentioned just now, so said that they didn't seem to see any difference, whoever was in power. What difference would, for instance, a BJP government make on this?
I don't think so, because the very mention 2 days back that BJP-led coalition is going to come, the Sensex went up by 475 points. The reason it is because the BJP or the NDA, we are pro-liberalization. There are many aspects which the UPA government should have done for this country, rather not getting bogged down with what the left is saying, that they have helped in insulating India. For example, we do need labor reforms in this country. We do need insurance reform. We do need banking. Now, there are many other aspects which does require. Fair enough that there is a global recession which has come, but India domestically, we have a big market because of our own population.
Okay.
It doesn't therefore get so much influenced by the global recession. Yes, it does, but not to that extent.
Vijay Dutt, would you agree with that view, that what India needs is actually
well,
more liberalisation?
What I feel is that, I feel that as far as liberalisation is concerned, there is no difference between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress. And I don't think any other regional parties will be opposing this kind of measures. The only party, as was mentioned, is the left, which doesn't like globalization and liberalization. If the left come to power, even if not directly, then there is going to be some problems for the new government as far as economic policies are concerned, and that could affect slowing down of the economic growth.
Okay, let's move on now to the issue of security, which we just mentioned. Was there an effect of the Mumbai attacks on these elections, do you think, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan?
Well, if you look at the whole campaign as a whole, one can see that this issue of security, internal security, which was one of the focus areas of the BJP and the NDA, did not have the kind of impact that they would have actually wanted. On the other hand, most of the states witnessed election campaigns based on regional issues and developmental issues, which is called as Bijli Sadak Pani issues, that is electricity, roads and water issues. And in many states, the BJP was the beneficiary of this Bijli Sadak Pani issues. For example, in Bihar, where its charismatic chief minister, the NDA's charismatic chief minister Nitish Kumar is considered to be way ahead of his opponents in Bihar. Similarly, the Bharatiya Janata Party's Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh, who is also supposed to have addressed the BSP issues quite well, he is also considered to be way ahead in the elections. So the internal security issue did not have the kind of impact that the NDA wanted, or did not create the kind of problems that the Congress would have expected.
Siddhartha Singh, would you agree with that view? I mean, one thing that a lot of people said at the time of the... Siddhartha Singh, sorry, would you agree with that view? I mean, one of the things I was interested in is at the time of the Mumbai attacks, a lot of Indian people who said that in the past they hadn't bothered voting because they considered the political process, you know, alien from them, suddenly felt they wanted to be engaged. Did it affect people's kind of intention to go out and vote?
No, there are a couple of things. You know, every elections or issues, you know, you do raise during an election many issues, and some of the issues they get dominated. Now, terrorism does remain, internal security does remain a concern for the voters. One cannot say that it isn't, and it wasn't an issue during the election. We have raised, because let's put this way, the quotient for BJP or NDA to handle terrorism in India, we score very high against the Congress and all. But 2611 has definitely changed the way the terrorism or handling of terrorism has to be expressed. So, as a political party, being a mature political party, we also need to respond accordingly, rather than making shrills or the rhetorics, you know, it doesn't help. So, you do need to face the voters, you do need to caliber yourself. So, we have done that. But as far as what Venkatesh was saying, development has become a major issue in all the elections which we are facing in India, be it the state election or the national election.
Okay.
So, therefore,
let me just bring in
it's an aggregate of the state election which is combining into the national elections.
Okay. Just to stay on that point of security and the Mumbai attacks' effect on these elections, Vijay Dutt, has your newspaper...
No, I don't think it had...
Yeah.
It had sorry, my newspaper?
No, I was going to ask you, how was it perceived as an effect with
No, I don't think
newspaper?
Mumbai terror attack was any factor in this election, as Venkatesh said. You see, there wasn't much national issues this time in the national election. They were regional, local issues and development as it is. And he cited Madhya Pradesh and Bihar, which is, they have got the majority seats possibly according to exit poll, just because of the development they have been able to implement in these two states. As far as the terror thing is concerned, Mumbai attack is concerned, possibly it might have affected a bit of voting pattern in Mumbai itself.
Okay.
But
Well,
as far as
just,
India is concerned, there is no question. I mean, this government has also handled the security problem very well. So there, I mean, there was nothing to point out to this government that they failed here or they failed here. Of course, there are always political points to score. But
just on
as
the
far as
matter
I think,
just to bring it back to what the challenges are in future, whoever has actually won, or whoever actually gets to take over the reins of government. Staying with you, Mr. Dutt, the issue of Pakistan, the Indian Prime Minister said on Saturday that the peace process with Pakistan would remain on hold unless Pakistan prosecuted those behind last year's attacks on Mumbai. Is the process likely to continue in the same vein, whoever is in charge, or will it be very different?
I'm quite sure it will be the same because policy towards Pakistan has never changed with the government changing. Both Congress Prime Ministers and BJP Prime Minister have tried to create confidence between the two countries, and I don't think there's any new government which is coming is going to create any different kind of policy for it. It will remain the same. They will try that differences are resolved through peaceful means. And
let me put that point to Siddhartha Singh. Would the BJP handle Pakistan differently?
You see, fundamentals of foreign policies in India is generally the same. They don't change, like Vijay has been just said. However, the how forceful you are, how diplomatic you are, how much clout you gain in the neighborhood. These are certain matters where we feel the government has not been up to the mark. We realize it with the Sri Lanka and the Nepal also. So we feel that yes, when the BJP and NDA is there, we'll be focusing in on our diplomatic channel to force our clout within the neighborhood.
Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, do you think that the BJP would have any more clout when it comes to Pakistan than the current government?
What concrete dimensions such initiatives would take is perhaps the most important question. As Siddharth very correctly pointed out, I don't think that the fundamental direction of India's foreign policy would change whether it's the BJP or the Congress. Though the BJP's coalition has got some Hindu extremist organizations like Shiv Sena who would want to take a more aggressive line against Pakistan. But I think ultimately the leadership of the NDA as well as the BJP would chart out the same mature path, considered path that the Congress and the UPA also has been advocating. In terms of enhancing the clout, I suppose how the nitty-gritty on this would work out is perhaps the most important thing.
Okay, Vijay Dutt, just to come back to one other issue that was already been mentioned, the issue of the US nuclear deal with India. The Prime Ministerial candidate LK Advani has said that a BJP-led government, if voted in, would conduct another nuclear test if the situation demands it. And he also indicated that the Indo-US nuclear deal had constraints, or might have had constraints on what he calls our strategic autonomy, and that would need to be looked at. Do you think that's code for saying that they would sort of throw the deal out?
LK Advani did make a departure from his earlier policy in a statement that he would not agree to this deal. But later on he said he'll agree to the deal, but he'll renegotiate and possibly conduct another test. But whether it was one of the election slogans about conducting the thing or not, I don't know. If he assumes the power and he gets the responsibility, I think he will going to weigh the pros and cons, especially about the energy help in energy production, which this deal will bring in. So I don't think there is going to be any drastic change in the deal that has been done. Mr. Advani will not be electioneering at that time. He'll be trying to conduct the policy. I suppose this deal is going to go through unless and until some party succumbs to the left and decides that we have to come to the power whatever happens. In that case, things can go wrong, but that means Dr. Manmohan Singh will not be the Prime Minister.
Siddhartha Singh, so is it just electioneering, this discussion of the nuclear issue?
I don't think so. It was well thought, well considered statement of Mr. Advani. It wasn't one of the election speeches or rhetorics being made. It was,
So what does
let
it
me
mean? I mean,
correct my good friend, no, just
Yeah.
let me correct my good friend Vijay. What Mr. Advani had said it earlier in the House, on the floor of the Parliament, was that BJP will, when comes to power, will not resign the deal, we will renegotiate. And there are for sure certain areas within the deal which can be relooked and, if required, renegotiated, and that's the stand which Mr. Advani had expressed.
Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, let me bring you in on that. Is it simply about just renegotiating details, or does that make it sounds like it would be up for renegotiation entirely?
No, that has been the position of the BJP even when the deal was being discussed in Parliament before it was finalized. This position has been taken by the BJP that there are several clauses in the Indo-US nuclear deal which are inimical to the interests of India. So they've been consistently saying that that the deal has to be renegotiated. But whether the deal's parameters provide that kind of an opportunity is a moot question. Perhaps the answer to that question is in the negative, and so in all probability this will continue as a rhetoric by the BJP. Even if it comes to power, I don't see any possibility of any real renegotiation on the deal.
And what about the role? I mean, the left clearly were very unhappy about the deal in the first place. So who would they want to join in any kind of grand coalition at this stage? I mean, presumably neither side would satisfy them, would they?
No, perhaps the left may not be able to rustle up much support on the Indo-US nuclear at this point of time, because most of the regional parties who are aligned with the left at this point of time are ready to, they got the attraction of power is much more for them than the left parties. So they'll be ready to join either the NDA or the UPA, as the case may be. For example, one of the left's partners in Andhra Pradesh, the Telugu Desam, cannot join with the Congress because they have a support-based problem in the state where they are strong.
Okay.
The Congress.
Let me just bring in Vijay Dutt briefly. I mean, this whole discussion illustrates the nature, the kind of fragile nature of having to build coalitions with these disparate partners. Can I ask you? I mean, India's had coalition governments for nearly the last 2 decades. Are they a good thing for India or a bad thing for India?
Well, I suppose it is at this moment working well, so it should continue working well, except that the small local regional parties, if they have a dominant role to play, it is just possible that they will try to hold the main party to ransom on various issues which will have nothing to do with the national interest. It will have only to do with their own regional ambitions and outmaneuvering their rivals in the state, which is a very dangerous thing. But I suppose both BJP and Congress are mature enough to realize this and sort it out.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Vijay Dutt from the Hindustan Times in London, and also the rest of our guests in New Delhi, Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, Deputy Editor of Frontline Hindu magazine, and also in New Delhi, Siddhartha Singh, a spokesman for the BJP party. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching this edition of Inside Story. We always welcome comments and suggestions. You can email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye for now.